welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. For my regular viewers, you'll have probably seen an object on top of my optics and you'll have said, what's that you're using on there? And if you've been paying special attention, you'll have seen on the video footage, especially things like the Boar video and stuff like that, you'll have seen the Triggercam logo, because that is a Triggercam on top of the scope and it's filming through the optic what I'm doing. So, just to go through it, here we are. Triggercam comes in the box as you would expect. You've got a cleaning cloth, an instruction manual, a USB-C charging cable, various small tools and parts, but the most critical fact is you've got a series of different diameter spacer rings here in polymer to fit it onto your optic. There's a key here for all the tools you need, and the main part is the Triggercam itself. Now this is a step above most normal add-on type camera systems for scopes, because rather than having something whacked on the side like a GoPro or other such tool as that, this effectively uses a prismatic system like a head-up display. So within this tube here there's a prism projecting the image upwards onto the camera inside, which is looking back. On the front you've got a microphone. Everything is under this port here for access and everything else, and there's a focal dial there. There are two simple control buttons on the side and we'll run through those shortly. Now I'll show you first of all how to mount this on a scope. So for that requirement I shall now grab a rifle. I've used this on quite a few rifles and you'll have seen it in lots of videos. So the mounting situation is the same really. You basically select one of the polymer rings which will make up the diameter of the scope, and this is a pre-selected one because I know this one fits this scope, and then the Triggercam just goes on the back like that, and on the side here there is a small Allen key and that just nips it in place. It really is that simple. The only steps you need to do are you tag this via Wi-Fi to a smartphone or something similar, and you can just very carefully undo that clamp there and just tweak the position rotationally ever so slightly, just to set up make sure the crosshairs are perfectly perpendicular in it and everything looks straight and level. You won't notice reticle alignment when you're using the scope because you're addressing the scope absolutely normally, looking at the reticle as you would normally. So as long as you set your scope up how you like it to start with, you're not going to notice any difference. There's a glass pane on the back and you do lose a little bit of eye relief, but there's still plenty left there. I've still got 4 fingers worth of eye relief on that scope, and I've not had a problem on any rifle I've used this on. I've used it up to 308 so far. Now, other factors and features you need to do. You'll have noticed when I put it on, there is an internal collar so that it butts up to set the eye relief and compensate for the eye relief in the optic itself. And when you've actually set it up through the Wi-Fi so it's displaying real time on a screen of an iPhone or an iPad, if you take this back cap off here, that will then allow you to access a small focus dial on the top. And if I just zoom in on that focus dial there, can you see that in there? So essentially when you've got this streaming live Wi-Fi through your phone, you can then set it on an image, set your parallax on the scope as normal, and then just tweak this adjuster ever so slightly on here just to make sure the focus is optimum. Now, you won't notice that when you're using it, but you will notice it on footage that's shown afterwards if you haven't got it quite set up. Some of my footage isn't perfect, to be honest, because I'm swapping this between scopes and different rifles all the time. But it doesn't take more than a few minutes to do. Once you've checked your first bit of footage, you might make a few adjustments afterwards just to set it up for the future. Other factors you will want to know about under here are, very unusually, this is actually supplied with a 32GB SD card. There's also an HDMI out port and the USB-C charging port. All the batteries on board, but of course being on an SD card like this or a micro SD card, it's very simple to take the card out and offload to your computer, but you can plug things in as well if you want to do it that way. I personally like dealing with SD cards. I'm just going to pop that in there for now. So once that's all in there, everything's sealed down and it's all functional and to control. And the only other things you need to remember in use are that from the front there's a microphone. It does pick up quite a lot of the wind noise, but on another hand, that's quite good in film footage because it shows just how windy it is when you miss targets. These are the two main control buttons on the side. So if I hold the front button down, the power will come on, shown by a blue light. And if I then hold the rear button down for a longer time, this light will go orange, and that means the Wi-Fi is now connected, or the Wi-Fi is now being broadcast. So if I go onto my smartphone, I'm confident in this that it will work live. So I'm going to my settings, going to my Wi-Fi, and I pick up Triggercam 2. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on the camera. Let me just zoom in a second. Triggercam 2 is there. Set that running. And now you can download an app which is called the Triggercam app, funnily enough. And if I press the blue button at the bottom, this will go live and show me exactly what this camera is looking at right now. So to go through the button structure from shutdown, hold the front button down and it will bleep, the blue light will come on, it's ready. Press the rear red button and it will flash red because it's now recording. You don't need the phone or anything with you to use in normal hunting scenario. If I press this again, it'll stop recording and you get 3 bleeps. Now, if I press the front button down, briefly, that goes to green now. So now that's in stills mode. So each button press will take a photo and there's 1 bleep to go with it. Now we're back in video mode. If I hold the rear button down, it'll bleep and this light will now start to flash orange. That means Wi-Fi is enabled. So if I go to my smartphone, flick into my settings, look in the Wi-Fi menu, and I've now got Triggercam appearing here. So I click on Triggercam, go back to my screen and I go to the Triggercam app. Go to recording device, and theoretically if I press this button that will take me to a live view of what's on screen. With Wi-Fi connected and the display on screen, you can actually twist the Triggercam until it looks about straight and then nip it up tight. Once nipped up, it's actually very secure and I haven't actually managed to knock it offline on any of the scopes I've used, but it's always worth checking the footage recorded afterwards because you don't notice when you're actually shooting if the scope were to be misaligned. For example, if I put the Triggercam over here, it's clearly misaligned, but when I'm looking through it, I don't notice anything like that. And of course, that's why it's great that you've got the Wi-Fi functionality for setup. There's a slight amount of latency on it, but it's just a fraction of a second. And you can also expand the screen to show it large like that. Just going through some of the functions now, so I'm going to set this up. So I'm going to record at 2.5K. Loop recording is off. Recording volume, I want to record sound, so I'll turn that off. Auto low light, yes, I'll turn that on. Lighting frequency, well I won't be filming indoors so I don't need to worry about that, I can leave that on automatic. TV format is PAL, which I want. Quick capture, I'm not so bothered about. Timestamp, date stamp, yes please. TV out, I don't need unless I'm running it out. Beep's useful, you can turn it off if you're hunting and you need to be a little bit more discreet. Recording reminder, we'll put that on I think, or 5 minutes. Auto sleep's useful, we'll put that at 5 minutes, then auto shut down completely, we'll put that on 15 minutes so we're not wasting any battery. White balance is currently set on automatic, and you can use things like that for when you're filming in or outdoors or against different backgrounds. ISO controls the digital sensitivity you're going to record at. High ISO might sound good, and it is in poor light conditions, but the low ISO does actually give you better quality because high ISO can give you something called a digital electronic noise, which is effectively little flickers and incorrect pixels on screen. That's a standard photographic factor. You can have a low power alarm, I'm going to turn that on. White balance I'm leaving on automatic. Wi-Fi name is Triggercam, as you can see. The time, I'll set that up I'll sync that with my phone, which is very handy. Battery it's currently at 75%. SD card is showing at 0 capacity currently, so I've actually got no SD card in it, and I'm going to just click that in now and see what that happens, see if it'll update real time. So I can format the SD card. Right, so I'm now up to full 32 gig capacity. Find camera is a useful function if you happen to leave your gun lying around somewhere, because if you turn it on and shush, you can hear it bleeping. The restore button just drops everything back to exactly how it was delivered. Battery life on the Triggercam is 2 hours of recording time. Well, it does say to get longer battery life, switch the Triggercam on and off between hunting sessions, making sure that you actually save the battery itself. Because you can run the Triggercam real time on the phone, it means you can set videos going and take stills at any time via the phone itself. It's also a great training tool because an instructor can watch exactly what a student is seeing through their rifle scope. It's important to note the Triggercam will only fit on scopes with a cylindrical ocular body. You also need to be wary of slightly oversized lock rings or fast focus eyepiece dials. I found the Triggercam easy to set up and helpful to use. You do have to be careful of making sure all the different focal systems are in tune though, just to make sure you get the best image quality of the reticle and the image at once. This comes with experience and you soon realise how to set it up best for your use. I would definitely recommend experimenting with different resolution rates. 4K isn't always best. Dropping down a little bit so you can increase the frame rate is especially noticeable on dynamic things like the wild boar targets. Static things don't matter so much if you're using a slow frame rate. If you want to drop footage into slow motion in post-production, I would recommend using the fastest frame rate possible when recording. Here you can see the full functionality of the scope is unaffected by the Triggercam on the back. It's also an excellent diagnostic tool for helping correct problems. You can actually hear the turrets clicking as I'm making impact point correction. The more magnification your scope has, the more important it is to set focus and parallax correctly every time. I must admit, when I was filming the wild boar, I was stunned by the capability through the 1:6 Hawk optic. The movement on screen is completely smooth and fluid. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the footage on the Triggercam itself. I do think it's a very good product and I am actually going to buy it because it's very useful for my review work videos and taking photographs of reticles themselves. One caveat I would say is that This is a bit different for me because I'm swapping it every day between different scopes and rifles, whereas you will maybe put it on one or two, set it up, check the footage to make sure your reticle focus is perfect, then leave it alone, and you won't have any problems after that. And of course it doesn't affect zero or any other function of your rifle. You've still got full access to the zoom functions in between to control magnification. Parallax is of course important, but it doesn't change the fact you can dial on elevation and windage for taking long range shots. So please like, please subscribe, please comment, because your comments drive me to make more videos, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're aware of every weekly upload. Thanks for watching, bye for now.